Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, USPHL fans. It's time for another Dan K show, and with that, I don't even want to wait for a cold open. I want to make this a hot open because it's playoff time and things are heating up in the Premier and Elite. NCDC's 1 week away from the postseason. It's time to talk hockey, but first, my three things are a celebratory three things for some of the younger fellas, the younger folks, the kids, they might say, those newcomers to the game of hockey. The 16U futures, 16U and 18U have all crowned champions, and those champions are as follows. Thing number one, the 18U champions, the Selects Academy, winning 4-1 over the Jersey Hitmen. A big-time, dominating performance throughout the playoffs for that squad. Then, Selects Academy did it again for thing number two. Thing number two, 16U champions, the Selects Academy. They beat the Jersey Hitmen 4-0 and allowed just 3 goals throughout the entire 16U Tournament of Champions. Congratulations to both Selects Academy squads. Finally, thing number three, a team that we have grown to love and a team that I will proudly say, my favorite group of players. My favorite group of players, my favorite roster that I've met this year that I think we've gotten a chance to talk to. Congratulations, 16U Futures champions, the Jersey Hitmen, led by an onslaught of offensive talent and goaltenders that put up goose eggs every single time they take the ice. They were dominant all year long, and they were dominant of the Dan K Show's attention all year long because they got multiple interviews on the show. They were all over the place. Every time we'd see them, we'd get a standing ovation from these guys. Pumped for them. They are the future of hockey, the Jersey Hitmen at all levels. All three Jersey Hitmen teams, 16U, 18U, 16U futures, at least made it to a title game. It's been fun watching them both. We got more Dan K Show after this. I think Lucas is going to be introing the Elite and Premier playoff predictions coming up next.
Welcome back, folks. Before we dive into these Elite and Premier Division picks, a little bit of an update on what's going to be happening on the final Dan K Show. So last week, Dan mentioned kind of offhandedly that, maybe the loser will eat a Pocky chip. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, Pocky is a chip company that... You doing all right over there?
Oh, I'm just trying to, win in Rome, is what they say.
Yeah, well, as an Italian, I have to talk with my hands.
Make a lot of meatballs. Oh, he has to talk with his hands.
What I do. But for those of you who don't know, Pocky is a chip company. They're known for making relatively spicy potato chips and corn chips, and one chip in particular is the subject of the One Chip Challenge, which is pretty popular all over social media. It's absurdly spicy. It's made with Carolina Reaper dust. And Dan casually mentioned, maybe we'll do a Pocky chip. Now that's because I mentioned it to Dan, but I also mentioned that, the season's over, they ran out of chips. So he's like, yeah, sure, maybe we'll do that. Well, I found a chip. So your bravado from last week, thinking you might not have to do it, well, that chip is en route and should be in my possession if all goes well by next week, which means that on the final Dan K Show, the person who has the fewest correct picks in the Elite and Premier playoffs, including, I think, the NCDC playoffs as well, will be forced to eat a Pocky chip on the Dan K Show.
That is correct. And what I'll tell you, folks, is I am Irish and Polish, a little bit of Swiss mixed in there, and none of those cultures eat anything close to a Carolina Reaper pepper, or any pepper for that sake. I eat a lot of potato pancakes, a lot of sour cream in my diet, a lot of sauerkraut, a lot of things that start with the word sour, but nothing that starts with or ends with the word Reaper. And I can guarantee you it will not be fun to watch me eat a pepper, so root for me, and let's root against Lucas together as a country, as a USPHL fan base, and as the Dan K Show. Hashtag down with Lucas, it goes. And that's what we're looking for. Hashtag down with Lucas. Lucas edits the show. We'll see if he... Hashtag down with Lucas. Hash Brown, down with Lucas, at the bottom of the screen. And with that in mind, it's time to start our predictions. Now today, folks, we're only going to give you the Elite and Premier pool bracket selections. We're not going to give you our full-on semifinalists and final selections yet. We're just going to pick our bracket winners in the pool play. We will then on Friday morning begin our back-to-back early morning Facebook Lives with the Dan K Show. You'll have to tune in to Facebook.com to the Dan K Show to watch us on Facebook Live. We'll be sharing it to our personal accounts as well, so find it wherever you can. Dan K and Lucas Jones. Now, with that in mind, let's go to the Elite first. Lucas, we'll start there. 8 teams made it to the finals. 8 teams heading up to Boston. They're going to Boston. Go comb your hair. They're going to Boston. Let's see who really cares. Lucas, 4 teams in this bracket for the Elite. Let me get on my handy-dandy computer the brackets. So the first bracket, Bracket A, the Tampa Bay Juniors, Boston Bandits, Charlotte Rush, and Beijing Shougang Eagles. Tough bracket here, tough pool. 2 teams make it out. We need to seed them. We need to get it correct. Who's your number 1 seed?
I have the Rush as my first seed in this division, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to rush right away to pick this pick. Charlotte Rush as well. I think this team's been dominant all year. They've been strong on both sides of the ice, both in the Elite and the Premier. I think on the Elite side in this bracket, they're the number 1 squad. Number 2, we made that one easy. Number 2 is where it becomes very difficult. 3 teams, and I know it's easy to say this, we thought all of them should be number 2. Beijing Shougang Eagles made this very tough for both of us. Both of us wanted to pick it. Ethan Hu, number 92 of this side. I watched him play a couple times along with Michael Zhang, and these two are stellar offensive players. But I think the Boston Bandits, who upset the Boston Junior Bruins and sent them home packing way earlier than they thought they'd be going home, I think the Bandits ride this wave and they get a nice little home series here in Marlborough, Massachusetts. I think they take the win.
Yeah, I think the team from Beijing definitely made this a little bit interesting and made it difficult trying to figure out, which team they can beat, because they had a great end of the season. They had a phenomenal series coming into the playoffs here, but yeah, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Juniors. I think that they have carrying enough momentum, enough skill on the offensive and defensive side. I think their power play and penalty kill units are going to get involved, and I think that's going to be the difference maker.
One step closer to Lucas eating a Pocky chip. Boston Bandits for the win. Elite Bracket B. We go to the B bracket, and there's nothing B about this. B is only a letter, but not a statement of how good or bad these teams may be. They are incredible. They are champions. Let's go to Group B. From the Florida Division, the Florida Junior Blades. The North, Islanders Hockey Club. From the Southeast, the Hampton Roads Whalers. And finally, from the Mid-Atlantic, those Jersey Hitmen who just are in every single playoff all the time in every championship game ever played. Lucas, number 1 seed in the Elite Bracket B.
I have IHC on this one.
IHC, very simple, very short to the point. I go IHC as well. I think regular season for them was just so stellar. Only lost 4 games throughout the regular season. Going to be a lot of tough competition, a lot of tough battles. I think close games, you go to the team who's won the most and who is there the most. If they fall behind early, they may struggle a bit, but I think they take it. Number 2, I go to the Hampton Roads Whalers, and when in doubt, you pick with Brad Jones. I haven't picked against Brad Jones since I messed up and called him Brad Evans, and I will stand up here and tell you, Brad Jones, I ain't picking against you ever again. This guy puts together a team, blue-collar squad, who loves to score goals. They're going to put pucks in the back of the net, and they're going to be the one team in this group who really wants to make the game high-scoring and open. They've struggled with the Hitmen before this year. Lucas, do you pick the Hitmen here at number 2?
I think for that reason and a few others, I have to go with the Hitmen here. The Hitmen have had a great season. They've had a great season, especially the number of times they've played the Whalers. The Hitmen squad is so effective on the offensive and the defensive side. They have great goaltending. They have great defensemen. The thing that I love about the Hitmen, I think at all levels, and I think this carries over from last year too, is how physical their defensemen are. I love watching Hitmen's defense go to work. Yeah. Whether it's on the penalty kill, whether it's corralling the puck, whether it's engaging people in the neutral zone, I think the Hitmen are going to take second seed in this bracket.
They got Eddie Corvelli, they got Eddie Dada, and they got Mr. Conway, not the one from the Mighty Ducks, but the one that scores goals with the great flow. That's a great team. It was a tough pick for me. I go Hampton Roads Whalers. So again, running that back for you, we will have our semifinal picks and final picks once we get there on Friday morning. You have to tune in Friday morning for those picks to Facebook, The Dan K Show. Friday morning, we will have a Facebook Live. You can watch along with us, taunt us, talk to us, be with us on the Dan K Show. Elite Bracket A for Dan, Charlotte Rush number 1 seed, Boston Bandits 2. In the Bracket B, Islanders Hockey Club 1, Hampton Roads Whalers 2. For Lucas, 1 Rush, 2 Tampa Bay Juniors. In the B, IHC at the 1 seed and Hitmen at 2. With that, we are going to go to the premiere. We'll take a quick break. and come back as I still think and shiver about this California Reaper pepper.
Carolina Reaper.
Carolina? California.
Carolina.
Carolina's in
Sweet
Southern
Caroline?
California.
Like Caroline.
I don't ever say that song in my house. Let's go Yankees.
Want Dan K and Lucas Jones to come to your town? Follow Dan and Lucas on Twitter. Dan at Dan_Kamichik and Lucas Jones at LJones1138 hashtag The Dan K Show. Get more of The Dan K Show on their YouTube channel.
Welcome back. It's Premier Prediction time. It's time to talk Premier Playoffs, and with that, we go through what this bracket will look like. Again, Friday morning, we will give you our semifinals and finals selections. Right now, we're just picking the pool play winners. In the Premier, 12 teams will arrive in Boston for this one. 3-team pools, 4 3-team pools, 1 winner from each. One little ripple in this, each team in those 3-team pools will have to play one team from another pool in their bracket. So there's a little mix up there that will change the scheduling. It'll balance this thing out a little bit and make it a little bit different on the selections. But with that in mind, let's go to Bracket A in the black portion of this setup. The black bracket, Bracket A, Charlotte Rush, Jersey Hitmen, Motor City Hawks. And the Motor City Hawks attacked Lucas this week, but will they attack the competition in Bracket A, Lucas? And will you have the guts to pick against them again?
Well, I think we resolved our beef, our friendly little spat on Twitter. These teams, they're passionate. I love the passion coming out of Motor City, especially on Twitter. We had a great little back and forth. They asked a very reasonable question. They said, "Why'd you pick against us? On what basis?" And I said, "Well, I've got my formula." And then I admitted that the formula needed a bit of retooling. However, I think the Rush are going to take this bracket. I think the Rush have just been so dominant.
Yeah.
At all levels of play. I think the Rush are going to take this bracket. It's one of those things where it's not you, it's me. Yeah. It's not the Hawks or the Hitmen. It's the Rush that put them on top.
Now I'm going to tell you the Rush have been the number 1 team in our power rankings, in all power rankings we've created this year, and it's happened for a reason. I'll tell you, Jason McCrimmon, I love you out there. I love Mr. Gilman, the owner of the Motor City Hawks, and the team they're putting together out there each and every year. And I dislike Lucas as much as you both do as well right now. But the man's right. The man is right. And Charlotte Rush are winning this bracket. It's going to be close with the Hitmen, but I think the schedule plays out in the Rush's favor. The way it's going to fall, I think they cruise through this bracket. 3-game sweep. They're through. We've got those two the same. Let's see if this one's a little different. Bracket B in the black side of the bracket. IHC, Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, and Florida Eels. This is tough. This could be, in FIFA, they always have the group of death. I don't know if this is it. The next one might be. But first, this is going to be a tough one to pick.
Definitely. And I think with that ending of the sentence, Dan's throwing me out to the wolves to make my pick first.
Yes.
I have to go with IHC here. I think the Islanders Hockey Club Premier team has been very, very strong all season. I think they have, a very strong organization from top to bottom. I think their toss-up and where they're going to struggle with is playing the River Kings. The Eels necessarily, their other game, might give them some trouble because of the differing styles of play. The problem with IHC, and the reason why I'm picking them, is because they're so adaptive. They can play Midwestern style, they can play Southern style, they can play Florida style, and then they can go toe-to-toe with these Northern teams. So I'm going to go with IHC.
So let me just remind you at home, if you're a Motor City Hawks fan, IHC playing Motor City as their one game from the other bracket. So again, Luke is picking against the Motor City Hawks. So in case you wanted a little more fuel to the fire, Motor City, Lucas picking against you twice in one selection show. But I go to the
end of the bus.
The bus is driven by Lucas and it is now backing up over you. Boop, boop, boop. But with that in mind, I look at this, I look at Wisconsin, I look at the Florida Eels, and I look at a Frank Scarpacci-led squad. This team, hundreds of college commitments, the lineage of this program, one of my favorite programs in the entire USPHL landscape, in all of junior hockey. Scarpacci is one of the greatest, not just owners, not just coaches, not just general managers, not just everything. He's just a hockey hero to me. This is a guy who lives the game, breathes the game, is the game. I don't think he gets by another man who lives and breathes the game, and that's Marty Quarters. This guy is a fighter, he's a battler, and he's going to bring in a team led by another Quarters who is so good he's going to have to change his last name to Dollars. Austin Quarters leading his team in points. Austin Quarters, Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, they take this bracket. Let's move on. And again, Sean Ryan, I told you I'll never pick against those River Kings again as long as they're alive. Let's go to the gold side of the bracket, and this has been all gold. And we talk about the group of death in FIFA all the time. It's always that group that is going to be the hardest one to get out of. And I think these teams, unfortunately, found themselves in the group of death. This is 3 teams, everyone can win it. Gold, bracket A, Hampton Roads Whalers, New Jersey Rockets, Chicago Cougars. I wanted to pick the Rockets. I wanted to pick the Cougars. But again, in the group of death, I think the Cougars have found their way on the highway to the danger zone. I saw that they're on their bus ride in, their trip. And you know, their top guns can do their best in this one, and they could feel like they're cruising to a victory, and you know, they could get their toms out and do their thing. But I think the Hampton Roads Whalers, in this premier level, the scoring potency, the Wizard of Osmondson, the Monk Man, Hampton Roads finds a way to outscore the New Jersey Rockets 17-16 final score, Rockets versus Whalers.
Well, I agree that it might get up into 30 or 40 total goals there between those two teams. I think in this bracket you have to go Rockets. I think their offense is too potent. We've seen it firsthand. We've seen that Rockets offense operate firsthand. Just they're so fast, they are so skilled. Hampton Roads Whalers, also skilled, also quick, but I think the Rockets are a little bit faster. They bring that Jersey edge, that little Jerseyness that comes in on the tail end. It's a couple of hard hits around the boards, a little open ice battling there. So as good as the Whalers are and as good as the Cougars are, I have to go Rockets.
I love the Rockets too. You know, we called a couple games for the New Jersey Rockets premier side, and we watched them against the Hartford Wolfpack go 3 games against a team that had a goaltender that stood on his head, right? But these guys were putting up 70 shots a night. What do? They answer back by going up against a Connecticut Junior Rangers team who shut down a skipjack squad who was just the hottest team in hockey this year, the last couple months of the season. They go out there, they shut them down defensively. The Rockets put up 24 goals in 2 games, sweep it. They say we're heading out to Boston. But no, the Whalers outscore them in a big-time win. Whalers go out of bracket A. Finally, bracket B, it's the Minnesota Moose, the Northern Cyclones, the Tampa Bay Juniors. We picked against the Northern Cyclones. They made us look real stupid. They went into New Hampshire Junior Monarchs territory, a team that has probably the best home ice advantage in the USPHL, and they took it to them. They could have won all 3 games. They lost in OT in Game 2. It's their only loss in the series. Do you pick against the Northern Cyclones here?
I think I have to.
Oh,
I think I have to pick against the Northern Cyclones. As great of a job as they did, and they did a heck of a job, those Monarchs, they are a tough squad to play, especially playing them in their home ice.
I have a feeling we both know who we're both picking. And I think on the count of 3 we can say the one thing that we could say, the rallying cry that we started this year as the Dan K Show with the hashtag Dan K Bump. You're welcome for the Dan K Bump as well, Northern Cyclones. We gave you the Dan K Bump last week. We gave you the hashtag Dan K Bump Northern Cyclones. You guys got upset at us, and that's what you needed. We gave you the bulletin board material, but now it's time for hashtag 3, 2, 1. Antlers up. Awoo! That's a wolf wearing antlers, cheering for the moose. Moose don't say woo?
I don't think, unless it's like a deeper version of Ric Flair, I don't think the moose. Let us know what a moose sounds like. That would be actually really helpful if you could do that, Minnesota Moose.
If a moose makes a sound and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound at all?
Yes.
Got it. Minnesota Moose, they go through. So that leaves us with this. Let me run back through it for you. Bracket A on the black portion of the bracket, Charlotte Rush for each of us in bracket A. Then in bracket B, I go Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Lucas goes IHC. Then in the gold, bracket A, I go the Hampton Roads Whalers, and Lucas is wrong when he picks the New Jersey Rockets. Finally, we both pick the Moose to take the Cyclones and Tampa Bay Juniors out in their final bracket, bracket B of the gold side of the bracket. With that, that leaves us with nothing left to do but put a puck in the back of the empty net. Empty net coming up now.
You are watching The Dan K Show. Everything USPHL. From the NCDC to the Premier and Elite Leagues. The Dan K Show with Dan K and Lucas Jones.
Welcome back, Dan K Show fans. You've got our Elite and Premier predictions. We celebrated the 16U, 18U, and 16U Futures champs. And now all we have left to do is the empty net. I'll tell you what about my week. I got to meet U.S. curling champion and hero and personal hero, Matt Hamilton, who may, alongside George Washington, be the first or second most influential human in the history of America. Thank you, Matt Hamilton, for everything you've done for our country, and thank you for curling the opening puck out at the Stadium Series just so valiantly. You've done so much for our country. USA. USA. But with the USA in mind, we go to a portion of the USA called the Motor City, Detroit. And Lucas was not feeling a lot of love from the Detroit folks at Motor City. Lucas, empty net update of the week.
Yeah, I spent my week getting torn up by the Motor City Hawks. I mean, to be fair, I did pick against them, right? I did pick against them, and we released that picture with all of our picks on it. We had so many teams to talk about. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that game too much. We kind of went over a little bit on it. But Motor City Hawks, they proved me wrong. And not only did they prove me wrong, they proved me wrong with authority. They also told me that they don't even think about me. Which, I mean, to be completely honest, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's why his name's on the show, to be totally fair. But it hurt a little bit. But I think we settled it. I think we took the beef, right, and we put it in the refrigerator to store it. Maybe we'll crack it open. Maybe we're not. Hopefully, we won't have to. But congratulations to the Motor City Hawks for moving on. Definitely have a couple of tough games coming up.
A lot of tough games coming up with the Motor City Hawks. It's going to be a very tough bracket. It's going to be a tough road for every team. With that in mind, it's been a long season. It's been a fun season. And for the Premier and Elite folks at home, it's coming to an end. With that in mind, we ask you to follow the Dan K Show on Twitter, on Facebook. Twitter is @the_Dan K Show. Facebook is The Dan K Show. And on Instagram, @the Dan K Show. Lots of ways to follow along. Lots of ways to be a part of the show. Just reach out to us and we're glad to put you on. Look at Sean Ryan, who now has been famous on this show multiple times just for calling me out for being so wrong about his Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. You can be just like Sean. Write to me, talk to me, follow me. Let's talk, let's be friends. Lucas, with that in mind, tell the folks what you'd like to tell them. He had a very big monologue in mind for the end of the show. To be or not to be, to talk or not to talk. That is the question for Lucas each and every week at the end of the show, and he's chosen again to be silent. For me, I have chosen to close the show with my never-ending catchphrase that I can never remember or say correctly. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. And when you're watching at home, we're always happy. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on Friday with a Facebook Live. Watch us live in person and in action, talking hockey, talking playoff hockey.
So for you, the Dan K bump in your mind is if we talk about a team and we tell them they're going to win and they win. That's the Dan K bump.
The hashtag Dan K bump.
But the hashtag Dan K bump is also technically if we tell a team they're going to lose and they win. That is also, in your mind, the Dan K bump.
Yeah, because my thought is this.
So for you, the hashtag Dan K bump is literally any time something happens.
So I'm so great. Okay, so I'm so humble that even with how great I am, I don't spend all day saying how great I am.
That'd be ridiculous.
That'd be ridiculous. It'd be redundant too, because you're already great. You don't need to also say you're great. And my greatness tends to rub off on things when I start to talk about them. So if I put your name into the ether, it's almost like King Midas. It's either going to rile you up because the greatness of me has not King Midas touched the gold, right?
Okay.
Or you're going to get riled up because I did pick you. So the Dan K bump is Dan and Lucas picked against you. Or, you Dan K bumped the Motor City Hawks. No. At the same time, I Dan K bumped the Motor City Hawks by picking them.
That just makes you right all the time.
Yep, that's correct. Dan K Show, always right.